Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Recur release. Yes, I'm so happy to have another of these Recur figures out because I have been loving these Recur figures. I think they have consistently been some of the most exciting dinosaur figures on the market, especially with the big turnaround for Recur and how impressive their new figures have been. I just honestly can't get enough of them at this point, and I just want to see so many more figures released, so many more species released by them, and they seem to have a fairly steady flow of figures coming out, which I also love. You know, we have I think 6 or so on the market already. And we now have another new one. As you can see, the Stegosaurus has officially released, and this looks to be definitely going to be one of my favorite Stegosaurus on the market. As far as the box goes, you can see pretty much the same style box we've had recently with the really nice yellowish coloration, a shot of the figure, and then of course the species, as well as the name of the dinosaur and the scale, which is 1/35th scale for this Stegosaurus up here on the top, Recur, and then if we turn it around, basically just some information back here. So definitely excited. Let's pop this box open and check it out. So first of all, you get a really cool card. That's something they've been doing a lot lately, is including a card, and on the card you can see it's basically just black and white and has a really nice image of the Stegosaurus on there, and then once you turn it around you have a little bit of information here on the back, which is always fun. Definitely a really nice high quality card as well. But then we have our Stegosaurus itself, and here it is, and I apparently need to readjust the camera, so there we go. And you can see that is a very cool looking Stegosaurus. Surprisingly though, the colors have changed from the original prototype to the final product a little bit. I do notice that the colors on the original prototype, as far as what we had seen on the box, were darker, where we had like darker browns and stuff for the primary body color and darker browns leading down from the plates, whereas they've taken a flashier approach with the actual final release here, which I must say is actually really quite striking. We have kind of like orangish browns now coming down from the plates, giving this a little bit of a brighter look, but at the same time a pretty natural look as a whole. So let's go ahead and bring this one in for a closer look. Starting up here in the head sculpt of our Stegosaurus, we can see it is sculpted with its mouth in an open position, and my camera's not going to focus on the inside of the mouth. I really didn't. Oh, we had it for a second there. Almost. So there, basically you can see the tongue on the inside of the mouth. It is painted with a pinkish tone in there, but apparently it's not going to give us a good look at the rest of the inside of the mouth. We can see the eye is painted with a black, basically just a black over the eye, a nice glossy black, slightly sloppy when it comes to the paintwork there, but for the most part it looks pretty decent. We have some kind of orangish brown tones for the face, as well as some yellowish browns, and then we smoothly transition to a lighter tone for the underside of the head and throat and everything. Look at how good those scales look down here. Man, that looks really, really nice. Like, you have quite a bit of variation, kind of larger scales that transition to some really fine scales as you lead back, as well as some nice slight creases in the skin. And there's some pinkish tones on the underside of the Stegosaurus. And we also have a nice dark wash, which I love. I hope they continue to give the figures dark washes, because I always appreciate that on any dinosaur figure. But as you move up here into the back of the neck, you start to see the plates pick up. You again start to see some of those orangish tones beginning to stripe down from the plates, as well as the yellowish browns of the primary body color. The dark wash also at play, helping to highlight the detail, and the skin detail, there we go, looks absolutely phenomenal as we move back here. You've got some slight skin wrinkles and creases, as well as some very impressive scales. As you lead further back into the body, the scales really start to pick up. They're fairly fine in the neck. As you move back into the body, they really pick up in size. You can definitely see that here in the shoulder area of the dinosaur leading down into the front leg. As you lead down, you do have a little variation of color, as we have a slightly different shade of yellow, kind of like, I don't really know how I would term it, almost like a pale version of a yellow as you lead down into the leg. The dark wash is also again helping to add a little depth to the paint apps of the figure. We have quite a bit of variation to the scales and skin texture as you lead down. You can see the elbow right there. Moving down into the foot sculpt also looks pretty decent. The nails are sculpted, but unfortunately we don't actually have nail paint. But as you lead here along the underside, you can see a nice pinkish tone following along in the lower part of the stomach. As you lead back up, you have some really nice detail here in the stomach neck region, really smooth patterning as well that kind of blends with the yellows in a really natural way where it looks flashy but not overly flashy. Like, it doesn't look too flashy, which I really like. The scales again pop so nicely on the sculpt on this figure. As you move up, you can see that dark wash again, kind of tying all of the colors and all of the detail together. As you lead up into the plates, you can see that we do have some of the orangish tones moving up into the plates, some of the yellow moving up into the plates as well, and they transition to a very light tone as you lead up toward the tips of the plates. The dark wash is also applied to the plates of the Stegosaurus, and as you lead up into the plates, look at the really nice clusters of very vibrant scales right under all of the plates. I really like that as well. And as you continue to move along, you can continue to see again how good the fine detail in the plates, as well as how smooth the paintwork is and the transitions between colors. As you move down here, you can see the hip bone protruding through the skin, some nice skin wrinkles and folds there in front of the leg. As you lead down, you've got a nice sense of the musculature of the rear leg, but again, it's not overly defined, which I definitely really like. We have tons of really impressive skin detail kind of stretching off of the tail. As you lead down, again, more really vibrant scales leading along. You've got the knee right here in the front of the leg and the nice calf muscle. Sculpt wise, man, this thing is incredible when it comes to a Stegosaurus. As you lead down, you have more very impressive skin detail leading all the way down here into the foot. You can see the ankle right there, and then again the really nice foot sculpt with the nails sculpted out. As we lead back up and we lead out into the tail, you can see again, because of the positioning of the rear leg taking a step forward, we've got the tail kind of stretching the skin here off of the thigh, and they've done a great job of showing that off in the sculpt. We continue to have that nice orangish patterning leading out there into the tail, as well as the pinkish tones moving along the underside of the Stegosaurus. And you can see again that dark wash, really subtle as far as its application here on the underside, but you have some light white tones moving along the underside and the underbelly of the Stegosaurus as well as you lead along. You do have a curve to the tail as you lead out, which you can see from up above. The thagomizers are sculpted quite nicely. We start out with an orangish tone that transitions smoothly to a light tone as you lead out there toward the tips, and you do have some nice fine detail within those thagomizers as well, and you can really see the nice scale detail there on the top of the tail. As you look at it from behind, you can see the really nice curvatures of the tail. And then once we turn it around to what is probably the more dominant side, you can see leading back, the head is now facing toward us, turning the head quite nicely. You have some skin folds and wrinkles in the neck as you lead up into the body. For the most part, this side is going to look kind of the same as the other side, except for the positioning of the legs. Obviously, the rear leg is extended out here, and this leg is just kind of picking up off of the ground, obviously showing the dinosaur about to kind of take a step as it's lifting the leg. You've got the elbow and everything sculpted out back there. A little bit of a lighter tone moving along the back of the leg right there. And as you move up into the top of the dinosaur, you again see the really cool orangish patterning, all of the very impressive scales and skin texture. You've got the pinkish tones showing up in front of the leg and everything right there. You also have, again, the dark wash really popping the detail on the figure. You can see the hip bone and everything up here again. Incredible fine detail leading down through the leg as you lead into the foot of the Stegosaurus, and then again out here into the tail, which now curves toward us. But that is absolutely far and away one of the nicest Stegosaurus figures that I have seen on the market in a very long time. As far as a size goes, for a length about 8¼ inches or around 21 centimeters, that's to the tip of the tail. As far as a height goes, to the top of the highest plate, about 4¾ inches or around 12 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to our Recur Stegosaurus. And you can see it's not a gigantic figure, but it is nicely sized. Overall, definitely a fairly impressive size. When it comes to some other Stegosaurus that are out on the market, here is the Rebor version next to the Recur version, and you can see that the Rebor version is just slightly larger. We also have the How Long Good version of the Stegosaurus, which you can see is actually very similar in size to the Recur version. There is also the Papo Stegosaurus, yet again similar in size to Recur. We can also go old school for a minute with the Invicta version of the Stegosaurus, obviously a lot smaller. We've also got the Toy-Way Walking with Dinosaur Stegosaurus, which is slightly smaller than Recur. And then one final comparison, we have the new Recur Tyrannosaurus Rex next to the Recur Stegosaurus, just to iron out one comparison with at least two of these newer Recur releases. So this Recur Stegosaurus is absolutely gorgeous. Definitely another knockout figure from them. I am so impressed with how Recur turned their entire product around basically overnight into becoming one of the best when it comes to the highest quality, most impressive dinosaur models that you will find anywhere. And this Stegosaurus is gorgeous yet again. And I think one of the things I love most about this is how different the colors are on this compared to most other Stegosaurus that you find out there. A lot of the time when it comes to Stegosaurus, they go for more earthy colors, like, you know, more darker and dreary sort of tones of color, whereas this one has kind of a bright and flashy look to it with like the yellowish brown tones of the body and the orangish patterning and stuff. Like, they definitely did a great job of making this figure stand out in a big way when it comes to the color. I also love the usage of the pinkish tones moving along the underside and down there into the stomach and stuff on like the sides of the legs. But I think overall the transitions look great. They've done a great job with the patterning. It's very smooth, and I love the dark wash on the figure. Definitely keeping my fingers crossed they continue to include dark washes on all of their releases moving forward. We also have a very nice pose on this one, as it's just kind of, I don't know if I would say walking along. It almost looks like it's slightly intimidated. The positioning of the legs and the turning in the tail makes it look like it's preparing to defend itself. But at the same time, it's in a position where it's not so super obvious that that's what it's doing. So it's able to be kind of displayed in a way where maybe it's fending off an Allosaurus, but also displayed in a way where it's maybe just about to take a bite to eat, or heading down to a watering hole, or just sort of walking along. So Recur did a great job, I think, when it comes to actually choosing the pose to give this Stegosaurus, because it gives it different display possibilities quite nicely. And of course, the fine detail on the figure is gorgeous. Definitely one of the best and most impressive sculpted Stegosaurus figures that I have ever seen. No doubt about that. So if you are interested in this, I don't believe it's quite available on the Recur Amazon store quite yet, but a lot of the other figures are from Recur, ones that I've already reviewed. So I have gone back and updated all of the previous videos with listings to the actual figures now on Amazon. This one should be coming into stock on Amazon very soon, so of course, once it does, you absolutely need to pick it up. And like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.